Hi there, come on in. If you enjoy the shotgun shooting sport, you're gonna love what we have for you. 410 shells, these tiny little shotgun shells used in a handgun for skeet shooting. Oh, let me tell you, that's a difficult shooting sport. We're also gonna show you some footage on our Muzzleloaders Village coming up this year at the Outdoor Fair, and a segment on woodcock banding, putting bands on the legs of these little migratory game birds that hatch out in the spring for wildlife management. An interesting feature, a great recipe for sweet and sour walleye, and a lot more. So stay tuned. I'm Fred Trost. It's Thursday night, time for Michigan Outdoors. Right ahead. Oh, there's another one. There's a small. Oh, here's a whole brood. Whole brood. We just flushed a young brood of woodcock that hatched out a little over 2 weeks ago. We're hunting with Dr. Andy Amon, retired DNR wildlife biologist, who at 80 years old still bands woodcock in the spring to track their migratory wanderings. His young dog Patch is his hunting buddy that locates the woodcock broods in the leaves. Your English setter can't be an average English setter. I mean, many hunting dogs, upon coming across even a bird that would hold, or chicks especially, would pounce on them. Or play with them, wouldn't they?
If they don't move, they're supposed to. Any pointing dog is supposed to hold. Hold on a bird that doesn't move, and that's why woodcock is such a good subject. That hen and all those chicks will freeze.
Patch appears to be on point, but his wagging tail says he's not sure. The bird was there recently, but it must have moved. These unproductive points are common in the spring because woodcock walk with their broods all over, leaving scent everywhere. We find a recently vacated nest, probably hatched within the past day or two. 4 eggs are most common, but this one had only 3, and the young chicks had to be close by. Patch is hot. He knows there's birds around here someplace. There's the point. No, wait, well, back again to check that strong scent. The hen went up sooner than we wanted, but Andy's experienced eyes soon located the first fuzzy woodcock chick nestled in the leaves, motionless. This chick wasn't 10 feet from where the hen had flushed.
He is over right beside the tree.
Yeah, the only other one.
And there's the second chick.
Oh, he started moving. Can you hear that?
Mm-hmm.
Be watching.
Now, they might move when they hear that peep.
We've found 2, and from the hatched eggs in the nest, we know there's probably one more within 5 or 10 feet. Takes time to pick them out. They're camouflaged so well. Before she flushed, the hen gave her chicks a command to stay motionless, which they would do for hours.
This one's not as active as the others. He's more docile.
The migratory bird bands that Andy uses are all one size, and they fit both adult woodcock and the day-old chicks, like the ones we have in the mesh bag right now. The chicks, being 2 to 3 days old, how far are they along in their development, towards, say, flying?
Oh, they are not ready to fly by any means.
But
not for 12, 14 days.
But only 2 weeks they'll be
Yeah, you bet.
flying.
Yeah.
Putting out those
They
feathers.
develop very fast.
The banding that you do when a chick is 1 or 2 or 3 days old, how does the band stay on their foot?
It happens that all shorebirds, of which woodcock are a member, have large feet. And when we band them, you can see how big those feet are, and the adult-sized band will not fall off, even newly hatched chicks.
So their legs will not grow all that
No,
much.
that's right. The band is loose around the shank, but their toes are what hold them from dropping off.
Andy can tell exactly how old the chicks are by measuring their bills. They always measure about 14 millimeters when they're hatched, and the bills grow 2 millimeters a day. So at 18 millimeters, this brood is exactly 2 days old. All 3 chicks go into the mesh bag, which we set back into the same spot where we found them. The hen will return soon to round up her brood. In fact, she was probably within 30 or 40 yards the whole time we did this banding. The young woodcock will peep when the hen calls, and she'll walk in to rejoin them. Even though she flushed earlier, there's a good chance we can find her if we come back in an hour.
Okay.
And there she is, an hour later, about 10 yards from the bag of chicks.
Good. Now wait a minute. Go in very, very slowly. And as you go in, I'm going to come in on top of you. All right? Go slowly, slowly. Work your net in through, around her.
Got a branch here.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. All right, good job, Andy. You got
Go
her?
on up. Grab her.
Where did the woodcock winter?
All right, good.
I mean, they all fly north and breed.
Yeah.
How far north? How far north in Canada?
Oh, way up in Nova Scotia, New Brunswick,
Oh, that far.
and some up in Ontario. We don't know how far up in Ontario. There's probably some almost to Hudson Bay. Probably relatively few, though, up that way.
And then where do they go in the winter?
In the winter, our woodcock, most of our woodcock go to Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
The shores, the marshes of the Gulf states and the South Atlantic states hold most of the wintering woodcock.
The band goes on Mama, which Andy says is a year-old female. He can tell by the coloration of her wing feathers.
The light tip and the sharply defined darker interior of the feather, basal part of the
What would
feather.
it be if she's older?
They would be like this, mottled all the way out.
Oh, modeled all the way.
Here, yeah, mottled
I see.
without any definite margin.
What about the tail? Is there any significance in?
No difference. No difference in the tail.
Well, she has that tuft right up there.
Yeah.
Her tail is tufted in an alarm posture. I'm sure she's not real happy with this banding procedure, but it only took a few minutes. If we're lucky, Andy will be able to release her in a way that we can get a look at an adult woodcock walking freely, a sight we don't often get to see at close range. She's nervous, but she'll come back to join her chicks soon. An odd-looking bird, the woodcock, but there's something uniquely beautiful about them, too. In 11 days, these woodcock chicks will be feathered and flying. Because of this extremely fast growth and their protective coloration, the survival of young woodcock is among the highest of any game bird. The ribbon in the tree marks the spot that Andy Amon banded the brood that now disappears once again into the camouflage of the forest. From the woodcock, the smallest game bird in the state, to the biggest, which is the wild turkey. Some people measure the trophy size of a turkey by its body weight. Some trophy books measure the length of the spur on these big toms. Wow, this big one on Bob Garner's trophy is really a monster. In our trophy book, though, we measure the length of the beard. These lucky hunters got turkeys with 8-inch beards or better and received our Outdoors Club hunting awards. Tom Nelson from Grand Ledge got his trophy gobbler the hard way with a bow. Glenn Davis from Reese bagged his with a shotgun in Iosco County. Jason Davey from Taylor used a call and a decoy to lure in his big tom. Jim Coleman from Carsonville took this gobbler in Roscommon County. Steve Moray from Brooklyn got a huge tom. Look at the certified weight on that in Washtenaw County. And the biggest beard of this trophy book was also taken in southern Michigan, Livingston County, and an 11.5-incher taken by Michael Guest from Wayne. Switching to fish, let's hear this tale about the 50-inch, 32-pound muskie that Alan Finch from Belleville caught from Raber Bay off the St. Mary's River.
Small lure, but you should see the teeth on this baby. I tell you, these are huge fangs, about like a dog.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
So tell me the story. What, fishing with a beano, that's not a muskie bait.
No, we was going to go out pan fishing. I was rowing out an aluminum boat. My nephew from Pennsylvania was in the front of the boat. He says, there's a big fish in the canal. And I figured May 27th, it's a carp in there spawning. So I pulled the boat over to the side, and he was out there flailing away at the water, and I says, he's using topwater bait. And I says, go change and use something a little slower. And while he was changing, I took a cast and I hooked into it, standing on shore.
Oh, you were on shore at the time?
Oh, we pulled the boat up on the shore
Oh, I
so
see.
we could get a better shot at it.
Oh, so you could just beach it.
Yeah, yeah. And it took off down the canal and went out towards the bay. I loosened the drag up and fouled it. I had to go around a boat well with two boats, over an aluminum boat and down a seawall. And then when we got out to the end of the point, that's where we brought it out. Yeah, broke the net when we brought it in.
What a story from Alan Finch, our Michigan Outdoors Trophy Muskie Angler of the Week. Commercial and large-scale baiting of deer and bear during hunting season has been an ongoing target of the Pigeon River Country Advisory Council, which recently asked the DNR once again to outlaw baiting, classifying it as littering, which is illegal on state land. At the same time, a group of local hunters on Drummond Island, led by DNR Commissioner Stu Myers, who owns a hunting camp there, is appealing to the DNR to outlaw hunting over bait on Drummond. The furor is over commercial baiting done for non-resident deer hunters. The DNR has been considering another baiting-related ban, this one to ban commercial netting of minnows from Saginaw Bay because the DNR says white perch, an undesirable fish that takes over small lakes, is being spread by minnow dealers. The dealers disagree, and no action has been taken yet. Crow hunting, which has been unregulated since 1984, will apparently see a 124-day season reinstated, according to the DNR. Because crows are migratory, they fall under the federal hunting guidelines. A person with a small appetite is said to eat like a bird. Is this an accurate comparison? Not really. A pigeon, for example, eats about 1/120th of its own weight each day. A 180-pound man would have to eat about 9 pounds a day to equal a pigeon's intake, but the average man will eat only about 3 pounds a day. A Father, Son, and Friends weekend is offered by Wilderness Acres Lodge in Sheboygan County. Fishing instruction is included. Call for reservations. There's a kids' fishing derby at the Trout Creek Mill Pond in Ontonagon County this Saturday. Poles, baits, and hot dogs are free. No entry fees, but call to pre-register. The Michigan Fly Fishing Club is holding a one-day beginner's course at Proud Lake. Classes are on Saturday and Sunday. The Lakeside Fishing Shop is holding a free big walleye and perch contest this weekend. The North Oakland Sportsman's Club in Oxford is hosting this weekend's Handgun Metallic Silhouette Shoot. There's an outdoor youth shoot at the Royal Oak Archers at Lake Orion both days. Pre-registration is required. And an archery challenge at the Camp Rotary Park near Romeo. Lots of archery events. At Davison, there's a gun show on Sunday at the KFC Hall. Coming up the following weekend is the Anderson Archery Bowhunters Clinic with a star-studded cast of archery seminar experts. The 23rd and 24th, join us at the Outdoor Fair at Houghton Lake. The fair opens at 9 on Saturday and 10 on Sunday, but the Livingston Archers are opening the 3D bow hunting course and the IBO qualifying course at 8 a.m. both days. Shoot at the Big Bear, and you might win a Yamaha Big Bear four-wheeler donated by Hackers Yamaha at Houghton Lake. Call the Michigan Travel Bureau if you missed a phone number for more information. This is a normal 12-gauge Skeet load shotgun shell with 1 1/8 ounce of shot in it. You can see how many pellets we have here to toss towards the clay pigeons. Now, it's difficult enough to shoot a shotgun at 12-gauge Skeet shooting, but we're going to try it using, look at this, a 410 shotgun. It has, just a little over half the amount of shot that the 12-gauge has. To make things even more difficult, we're going to use a Thompson Contender handgun with a special 410 shotgun barrel. Now, this is the toughest shotgun shooting I've ever had. I tried this a couple years ago at the Point Mulier shooting range. You're going to see right now why it is that I will never make any money hustling skeet shooters with a handgun.
Bullet.
Skeet shooting is difficult enough with 12-gauge shotguns, let alone 410 handguns. Shooting skeet doesn't take a lot of equipment. A shell pouch is the primary accessory where you keep your loaded rounds and one for your empties.
Bullet.
A shooter calls for the bird by saying pull or pull it. Actually, there's no pulling involved, and there's no birds. The targets are clay pigeons that are stacked in an automated target thrower. Years ago, the thrower was cocked by hand. Now it's all done by an electric remote control. In Skeet, there's a high house and a low house where the camera is right now. The targets alternate from house to house. The shot from the shotgun shell travels at about 1,300 feet per second after the trigger is pulled, and the clay pigeons are flying at about 125 feet per second, which means the shooter has to point the gun in front of the bird, lead it before he fires. The recoil pushes the barrel up before the shot hits. Hitting these targets with a handgun is considerably more difficult than with a long gun. The shooting stance is different too for handgunning. Feet apart, facing the Skeet house. The 410 shell we're using is small, but that's not the main problem. What makes this so challenging is the fact that your wrists pivot.
Pull it.
This shooter's wrists are solid, and he hits these fast-moving pigeons time after time. One minor bend in the wrists would throw the shot string off target. Duplicating this skill time and again takes practice, something I found a little frustrating, frankly.
Pull. That is so fast.
My second shot gave me a false sense of accomplishment.
Pull. There you go. Okay.
My next 20 shots, they were all clean misses. I consistently shot low and behind.
All goes on the swing of your gun, and keeping your barrel flat.
Okay, so what was I doing wrong? Show me what I was
What you
doing.
was doing when you were swinging on a bird, you swing fast, keep up the bird, and then you slow down. Get ready to pull the trigger, and you slow down. A lot of guys even too, you'll start cocking the barrel when you go to squeeze the hammer. You want to make sure you look flat on the plane. No sights. Don't
Well, you know
move the
that sight is distracting.
It is. So you try to concentrate, not have nothing there, and just keep the bird right in front of the thing. If you got your foot and a half lead, you want to keep your same foot and a half, the same swing. And you don't want to swing with your arms, just with your hips.
Hold it, just with your hips?
Yeah.
I wonder if I was doing that. Just with your hips, huh?
You don't want to move your arms. You move your arms, that's when you start cocking your barrel up
Yeah.
and down. That's where you got to concentrate, keeping the barrel flat and just swinging from the hips.
You can do all the chalk talking you want, but analyzing this sport won't break the pigeons. There's only one way to become good at handgun skeet. Practice, practice, and more practice. Breaking a clay pigeon on the skeet range with a handgun has to be the ultimate accomplishment. Well, I'm never going to be a pro with a handgun, I don't think, when it comes to clay pigeons, but Tim Farragon is pretty good, and so is Harry Reinfelder. They're going to be doing some demonstrations at the outdoor fair during our shooting show. Another aspect of the shooting show and of the fair is the folks who use these round balls, muzzleloaders. Our Muzzleloaders Village, a very important part of the fair. A battle of the 1800s reenacted at the outdoor fair. For the past few years, the French-Indian War mock battle has been performed on the athletic field, but this year, Bob Garner's sporting dog shows will be held here, and all the muzzleloader events, including this mock battle, will be held behind the high school. Preceding the battles, starting at 1 o'clock on Saturday and Sunday, will be the popular colonial fashion show, where the muzzleloading costumes will be explained and modeled. The outfits reflect early Indian garb, like you see here, as well as a variety of colonial fashions, some worn by military personnel, and many worn by the colonial citizens and settlers in the 17 and 1800s. The participants at the Muzzleloaders Village will all be wearing costumes that represent specific eras, and in many cases, specific people who lived in colonial America. The fashion show gives the crowd an overview of colonial attire, but you can wander through the village and ask any of these folks about their clothing or their campsites where they lived during the fair, and they'll be more than happy to tell you about colonial life. The Muzzleloaders Village is where the participants cook and sleep, making the village much more than just a display. It's a living encampment. You can watch them demonstrate colonial crafts, and of course they'll be spinning yarns. I mean spinning real yarn from wool. That's how thread was made years ago, and some of these folks are probably wearing clothing made from thread and yarn that they spun by hand. On Saturday at 3 o'clock, a colonial cooking contest will feature historical dishes, judged by none other than Kathy Beitler and Mr. Taste Tester Bob Garner. Many handmade crafts and artifacts will be for sale at the village, and besides the cooking contest, mock battle, and fashion show, muzzleloader shooting skills will be a part of our shooting shows to the south of the muzzleloaders village. Unusual targets typify the competitive events that colonists and settlers did for fun 100 years ago. They're very entertaining and impressive to watch. The Muzzleloaders Village, bigger and better than ever, a part of our annual outdoor fair, June 23rd and 24th at Houghton Lake. The shooting sports, always a big part of the outdoor fair, the Muzzleloaders Village, and the archery, a lot of the sporting dogs. We have so many things we'll tell you about in the weeks ahead. And of course, you'll have a chance to meet Kathy Beitler up there, take a look at our cookbook, maybe have her sign it, because she's the one who brings us all these great fish and wild game recipes.
If you like Chinese recipes, you're going to love this one. We received a sweet and sour walleye recipe from Cheryl Haynes of Middleville.
Yeah, but the question is, if you love walleye and you love it fried the way most people do, would you like this recipe?
I think so. I think we're going to go through everything on this one. And this does have just a little bit of the dark meat that you want to remove. Not
Along
a whole
that
lot on
lateral
these.
line. Yeah, you can use that, cut a little V down there and just take that little narrow strip out too.
Right. Going to go ahead and cut your walleye into just bite-sized pieces because you're going to fry them first. You're going to actually deep fry them in a batter of beer and a little bit of fried crisp breading. And anytime you use a beer in a recipe like this, it just makes the batter just kind of fluff right out. It really makes a good airy batter.
Well, this is where most people stop on a walleye recipe, set the table, and start chowing down.
Right,
because there's nothing that beats fried walleye just like this.
And those little morsels coming right out of there would be just excellent, just like that.
You know, there's probably a lot of people saying now they're going to ruin it with green vegetables
Yes.
and all types of, things that are going to wreck the taste of it.
And it really doesn't. You got your regular pea pods and
Pineapple.
pineapple. It's going to give you the sweet and sour.
Cornstarch, brown sugar, vinegar, soy sauce, holy cow.
Right.
Well, that's just a run-of-the-mill, I mean, I hate to say run-of-the-mill, but, just a standard sweet and sour Chinese dish.
Absolutely. You got a little bit of soy sauce and brown sugar and vinegar. And again, it'll make it that tart. And then just going to put the pieces of fish on a bed of rice and then put your sauce over the top.
Huh. Now, we're going to try this out on somebody who likes fried fish the best, Sue Howland, our Outdoors Club administrator.
I think it's good. It's really good. It doesn't even taste like fish. It doesn't. Just reminds me of a Chinese dish. It's good.
I kind of thought maybe you'd like it with it fried because it was deep fried first.
So it's deep fried first.
great.
and she likes fried fish.
And she likes Chinese, so like I say, she's got
Yeah.
two good things going for her.
It's great.
Do you think it'd be better with chicken?
No.
I'll be doggone.
Nope.
Isn't that something? What a way to prepare fried fish. I love the snow peas with it. I think they're great.
Those are good.
Man, the sweet and sour sauce? I wonder why some of these don't win in a contest.
Oh, I know it. I would have thought this would have been a winner.
This is terrific.
Besides containing tonight's recipe, the May-June edition of the Outdoor Digest has been worth waiting for. The detail and color on the cover is a hint of the quality of what's inside. Loads of colorful articles and ads. If you're not already an Outdoors Club member, we'll send you this. If I could do last weekend all over again, I'd take it just the way it was, except for the wind. Oh, that cold front that moved through fouled up the fishing in most of the Great Lakes areas. 2 to 3 steelhead per boat in the southwest, kings and lakers showing up, and browns and lakers around the northern part of the state. A couple per boat, but nothing to write home about because of that wind. Inland trout fishing, a different story. Conditions have been generally very good. Brown drakes are coming off on the entire Au Sable system. Grasshoppers, crickets, and ants are showing up, which is really the summertime flies and fly imitations that the anglers want to use. The fly hatch line up in Grayling, write that number down and call it. They'll give you daily conditions on the trout streams. And let's take a look at our inland fishing, starting down here in the southeast. Walleye, smallmouth bass limits, Detroit River or Stony Island. They're getting 30 to 70 perch per boat, up to a pound, Captain Nichols, although this rough weather has been a problem. Bluegills, bass, pike, crappie, all hitting in good numbers at Houghton Lake. Bluegills, smallmouth bass are on the beds, coming off their beds now, and bait and knock. They're getting walleyes off planer boards there. Lake Gogebic, 1.5 to 2 pound walleye limits, and up in the Keweenaw limits of pike and crappie and some good walleye catches according to Dick Blau. If that weather stays stable, it should be a fantastic weekend. Get outdoors if you can. It's a great place to be. See you next week.
The Emmy Award-winning Michigan Outdoors.
This one's not as active as the others. He's more docile.
Next week on Michigan Outdoors, I'm going to show you a technique of fishing for panfish that is the most effective technique I've ever seen. It's the European fishing style. It's taught to us by Craig Scoff. He taught us this last summer. You can catch more fish, bigger fish, more action. All this coming your way next week right here on Public TV.